If you want to see a bunch of AR creations that came out in the last couple of weeks, then you're in the right place. Why, hello, fancy seeing you here. If this is your first time, let me introduce myself. I'm Alexis Mercedes. I'm the project manager for Fractal Labs. We are an app development team specializing in AR metaverses. So if any of that sounds good to you, please like and subscribe. This is episode 8 of 13 experiences in augmented reality. Today's features will all be from the app Over, aka Over the Reality. NeilApeStrong Pirate Island. I highly recommend this one. It's got lots of twists and turns and surprise moments. It loads really easily. The variation in the land is really cool, but they did encounter the same issue that we did on the voyage to the moon experience, where having uneven ground means that the viewer can end up underneath the earth. And I do think it's fine. I do think it's worth it. We could shift the positioning a little bit because where I loaded into the experience, I was actually underground to start with. So that's a little tweak that could be done that I think would really improve the user experience. I have a love-hate relationship with these 2D trees. I think they're cool and whimsical, and I like how from several angles you get that plentiful situation, and I think that's why they were able to load such a huge experience with expansive corners and beautiful views from nearly every angle into a land that actually loads really well and functions really well by using 2D assets in places that I would normally expect 3D assets to be. So definitely go check this one out. It's a hoot. Museo Digital Uirapuru. I'd love to learn how to pronounce the name of this next experience, but it is above my head. I love the art in here. I could have stayed for the longest time. It definitely gave me a day at the museum experience, and the way I could get up close to each of the paintings and really inspect them is great. The part I can't teach is good curation, and they've done it in this one. It's a really accomplished collection. The part I can teach is refining overbuilds. We can fix the floor with the flashing by making sure it's just barely above the ground when you load it in your builder. Add interpretive signs so that we know what we're looking at. Add links to the art and the artists. And maybe some music, and you've got the perfect gallery. Here's another gallery. This one is from Metagate. It did include music, however, the song choice was rough. It was, that's the tough part with music, is tastes vary so much. The loop was really short too, so it was very, very repetitive, very over and over again. So I found that to be pretty rough. The owner and perhaps builder, Marco Pizzini, is the same person who brought us the climate change board game experience last time. I'm a huge fan of their work. There are a lot of different elements here working in harmony. I do have some suggestions. There were certain placements of the art that prevented the up close and personal benefit of an augmented reality gallery. The placement of them were too far from the center, so it's like really hard to get to them in a way that allowed you to look up close. The scale was sometimes disorienting. Their elements themselves are not consistent between one another. These shirts were on display at knee height, which was a little odd. I'd recommend creating a space with stylization that's more consistent overall. As it appears at the time of this filming, it's an amazing start. And I'm so happy to see another piece from Marco Pizzini. Number 4 and 5 on our experience list today comes from Lofi Radio. First, let's talk about this Pokemon experience. I love this Matrix reference. It reminds me of one from my first review video where you're surrounded by the Matrix. It's another storefront, but done a little differently. And here we've got a good example of having consistent stylization across the board. And there's something a little unique to this one. It's very nostalgic, but original feeling.
Give them something they can ride to, fam. Yeah, paint the sky blue. It's light, fully gassed and I'm ready to ride. Destination is sky, let me swallow my pride. I never said I'm the best, but I better myself. Gave the fast food up, had to work on my health. Shelf the stress, but nevertheless, I'm still blessed. Only color in this bubble, I need space to test my limits. I'm past the gimmicks, claim to handle situations different till you get in it. I'm counting the minutes, I used to feel like the minutes. So then it's going back and forth on the web in blue and vibe to. I'm just giving you the keys to survival. There's something you can ride to and vibe to. It's like, there's something you can ride to and vibe to. I'm just giving you the keys to survival. Never let society tell you how to begin living your life.
The way that they used video behind these staircases or doors makes the experience look bigger because the footage makes it look like it goes down a hallway. It's like when you put a big mirror in a small room to create the illusion that it's bigger. So I really like that. I love discovering little hacks that can be done to create illusion, and AR itself is illusion making, so it's like an illusion inside an illusion. What's not to love about that? The other experience functions like an apartment overlay. It turned my apartment into this glitchy, retro, nostalgic but original venue space. It feels both like a nightclub and a recording studio. It makes a great backdrop for this original music. This makes me want filters, but for apartments. Instead of face recognition, you could have couch recognition. Or imagine that all the walls, vertical flat surfaces, turn one certain color, and then all floors turn another. Filter Factory, I know you're watching. Maybe that's a task for you. Steal my idea. You're welcome. Six and 7 come from Parrita Brava. I'll quickly mention as a bonus a build that they cleverly left for me as an Easter egg by naming the experience Fractal Labs. Thanks so much for that, and thanks for this clock NFT. Very flattered and so happy to be working in collaboration with you, even though we have a language barrier. I really want to talk about this kitchen.
Gaspacho recipe: cut the tomatoes into quarters and add them to a large bowl. Peel the cucumbers and cut off the ends. We cut them into small pieces. In the same way, the peeled onion and the green pepper, cut the bread into small pieces and add a little water. Leave to rest for about 10 minutes. Peel the clove of garlic and remove the center so that it does not repeat itself. Add the additional olive oil, sherry vinegar and salt to the bowl and beat with a mixer until liquid and allow to cool.
A recipe for gazpacho is read off by one of our favorite AI tools, Alethea. It feels like a real kitchen. Look at the patina on that sink. This is a place to explore virtual training sessions, and I think the architecture of this space is really well done. It looks like a place you could actually take a class. a truly functional learning space. And it checks all the boxes for consistency of scale, style, loading time, things like that. And our 7th experience is an arrangement of interpretive science. What are your first reactions to this? It's an easy way to pull up wayfinding in public spaces for schedules or any event info. Imagine your ticket to an event was an NFT. And then when you load that NFT itself, you have in front of you all the details to the event. If it easily loads in AR, you can see things as big or close or far away as you want. The possibilities are endless. It gets me dreaming of the very near future. Thanks, Brava, for giving us experiences that demonstrate effective use cases. And to everyone watching, follow them on Twitter. They're posting stuff all the time. Info's all below. Allan Walker, boo, boo, boo. Actually, I think he hates that air horn sound. Allan is back again. I still think they're the most reviewed creator on this channel so far. But this time we got a tree house. I don't know why, but I love the grass. It's super, super lush. And the whole thing is just super inviting because, gnome puns. Based on the style of these pieces, I would guess that these are made by DALL-E. If you don't know, DALL-E is a text-to-image artificial intelligence software. If you want to learn more about DALL-E and other text-to-image artificial intelligence, we will be releasing an article on LinkedIn about that pretty soon. So you could look out over there, but there's a lot of amazing creators doing work in this arena. In VR, vertical movement is easy with stairs or elevators or anything. Just fly up, do whatever you want. But when we're augmenting reality instead of creating an entirely virtual one, it is a little more challenging. Here, Allan shows us that vertical movement can take place, and they imagined we'd be able to load this near some stairs so that we could make it to the top floor, and created perfect signage to indicate that. I was already on the 2nd floor when I loaded this experience, so I stepped onto my balcony and reset the floor layer to be the parking lot level. But I effectively shifted the entire experience down, and that way I got to be up high in the treehouse and see the Gnmoes exhibit, which was super fun. I just love how joyous this is. I think we all need a little more joy in our lives. So thanks so much, Allan. And by the way, I also recommend everyone go check out their Halloween build. I'll include the link to that experience below. Gigi Jen. This is a person I have had the pleasure of meeting in person, and they've been working with the Overspace, dipping their toes in for a while, and I believe this is their first build, so thank you for the debut. It's definitely the debut on this YouTube channel, at least. This is the creator's personal collection of NFTs. They are all pieces by women, and it's a great way to showcase Let's add some links to the OpenSea or a name tag so that people can pull this augmented reality experience into other facets of their lives. Excited to see you here, and I hope to see more in the future. Over themselves posted a lot of experiences in the last couple weeks, which is interesting because a lot of these builds I've seen and loaded before, just in a different part of the app. So I think what happened here is that they were posted to actual hexes, and that's why it appeared in the recently published feed.
Editing Alexis here. Until just yesterday, you could browse the most recent publications to Over. However, there's been a really amazing and truly exciting update to the UX and overall design of the Over app, releasing tons of new functions that I absolutely adore. One casualty of this update is that recently published section, which is sad for me because I no longer have a way to browse what's been published lately. There is a category called featured, which will rotate through new publications. However, those are first vetted by Over, but I would rather that category be left to the people. So yeah, that's just one customer's opinion.
I want to show off this blue gallery because I really liked the textures. It was very soothing, but futuristic and exciting. I think it was a good move. This is a showcase of talented contemporary Italian artists that I wouldn't have known about these artists otherwise. So I love the exposure to real, new, emerging artists. That's my favorite thing to do, is support new artists. And I like this method of doing that. I, for one, could see myself buying models from Chiara Sapiro. Since I'm a person who publishes immersive AR experiences, 3D models is the type of art that I am in the market for. And again, I just wouldn't have known about this gal otherwise, and I'm happy to give her my money. It is a little weird to see over-generated experiences pop up in the most recent tab. I would hate for content that is created by Over themselves begin to overshadow the user-generated content, because the fact that it's user-generated AR is the most special thing about this to me. So I would hate to see that compromised. This Overlander Eric published a handful of well-conceived product placement. Unfortunately, I don't know their name because it gets cut off in both places. Look at this. Another reason for name tags, in case people can't actually read your name. But talking about the experience itself, this one truly does transport me to wine country. I have had the pleasure myself of being to some amazing vineyards. This AR experience, although quite cartoonish, does a great job of evoking those emotions. The most impressive part to me is how expansive these grapevines appear. You go on and on forever, and that's really hard to accomplish in augmented reality because the illusion usually gets lost through some sort of obstruction, but they've really figured out how to do it, and I'm impressed. It's also a demo of product placement use case that I think would excite any potential clients you might have. Definitely a creator to follow. They've got that something, you know? Another creator landowner that I'm adding to my watch list is Kristoff. I like this aesthetic. This model is massive and it warrants the size. It's poorly placed within the hex, As far as I can tell, when a person pulls up your over experience, they are placed in the center of the hex. So you'd want to place the model in a location that accommodates that detail. Because it wasn't fun starting right in the middle of the thing. I'm like, where am I? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be finding? From a user experience design perspective, you'd want that first moment to be something wow, and then have other surprises unfold as you go along. I don't know why this shopping cart is up at the very top here. It's not a link. I tried tapping it. Perhaps it's a political statement of how we prioritize shopping too much. Or maybe it's an ad placement. Imagine this. You're an artist of digital sculptures, and you get paid to make your creations by selling strategic ad spaces on the models themselves. That seems doable. I love the hovering candles for ambiance. I've never seen Kristoff here before, and I'm really excited to see what they make next. I did see that they had published a few things this week, so cool. Gallery Hot Peppers collection. This last one I'm including because it makes me laugh. When I look at this gallery, I feel the same way I did when I looked through my niece's Shopkins collection. It's just so like random, and why? Like, why not a cat that drives a carton of milk like a vehicle? Why not have a gallery of just peppers? Also, some of these peppers seem unreal and alien to me. Are they real? Am I learning about peppers? For a couple years of my life, I dreamed about opening a food museum, and this is really reinforcing the idea that I could launch that in AR or VR first, because the overhead is like a tiny fraction of the cost compared to trying to start a physical museum. The stylization isn't uniform, but I think it works. This voxed out spider and these 2D images of peppers are brought together in harmony with this red earth that looks like something out of the Marvel universe. The PFBs on the wall remind us that we're in an NFT context, and in that way it all kind of makes sense. And they used a name tag with a Collider link box. Good on ya. Over is but one of the many amazing augmented reality tools out there. I'm excited to start learning from others. I always support all of the creators here, and I'm excited for us to all expand together to other metaverses as well.
What I'm still wondering is, how is Over going to determine what the featured experiences are? I'm concerned about how that selection process will go, especially since we don't have a most recent experiences tab anymore.
All right, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. you.